She couldn't even learn to fly in America. So she did something crazy. She taught herself French, moved to Paris alone, and became the first African-American woman to earn a pilot's license. But here's what nobody talks about: the real reason she was denied wasn't just racism, there was something else, and the way she died, it changed aviation forever. Let me explain. Bessie Coleman wanted to fly. Simple as that, but in 1920s America, that dream was impossible, not because she wasn't smart enough, not because she couldn't learn, but because of the color of her skin. Every flight school in America said no, every single one. Now think about that for a second. She had the money, she had the passion, she had everything she needed except permission. White women were learning to fly, white men were building empires in the sky, but Bessie, she couldn't even sit in a cockpit. So what do you do when your own country rejects you? Most people would give up. Most people would find another dream, but Bessie Coleman wasn't most people. She made a decision that changed everything. A decision so bold, so risky, that people thought she was crazy, and maybe she was, but what she did next, nobody saw it coming. Bessie had a friend, Robert Abbott. He owned a big newspaper for Black Americans. One day he told her something that changed her life. He said, "Go to France." France? Why France? Because in France, they didn't care about skin color. In France, anyone could learn to fly, but there was one big problem: Bessie didn't speak French, not a single word. So what did she do? She got a job at a chili restaurant. She worked during the day, and at night, she studied French 4 months. Alone. No teacher, just books. Just determination, just this burning fire inside her. And finally, in 1920, she bought a one-way ticket. One way. She wasn't planning to come back until she had her wings, but France had a surprise waiting for her. A dangerous one. Flying school in France was nothing like she expected. The planes were old, the instructors were tough, and the training, it was brutal. Bessie watched other students crash. She saw planes fall from the sky. One student died right in front of her, right there on the field. Can you imagine that? Watching someone die. And then climbing into the same type of plane. Most people would quit and most people would go home, but Bessie kept going. Every morning she woke up before sunrise, every night she studied until her eyes burned. The French instructors didn't go easy on her, they pushed her harder than anyone else, and you know what? She pushed right back. 7 months. That's how long it took. 7 months of fear and sweat and doubt, and then something incredible happened, something that would make history. June 15, 1921. Remember that date, because on that day Bessie Coleman did the impossible. She passed her test, she got her license, she became the first African-American woman to earn a pilot's license, the first. Ever think about what that means? A girl who picked cotton as a child. A girl who couldn't go to flight school in her own country, she went to another continent, learned another language, and beat everyone. But here's the thing, having a license wasn't enough. She wanted more, she wanted to be the best. So she stayed in Europe, she trained in Germany, she learned tricks and stunts that nobody else could do. And when she finally came back to America, she had a plan. A big plan. A plan that would shock the entire nation. Bessie came home in 1922, and America went crazy. Newspapers everywhere wrote about her, the girl who flew, the girl who beat the odds. But Bessie didn't just want fame, she wanted something bigger. She wanted to open a flight school. A flight school for Black Americans. A place where anyone could learn to fly. No matter their skin color. No matter where they came from. But she needed money, lots of money. So she became a stunt pilot. She flew at air shows across the country, thousands of people came to watch her. She did loops in the sky, she did dives that made people scream. She was fearless, but there was one rule she never broke. One line she never crossed. If a show didn't let black people in through the front door, she refused to fly. Simple as that. Bessie was more than a pilot. She was a fighter. Everywhere she went. She fought for equality. She gave speeches at churches. She talked at schools. She told young Black Americans to dream big. Never give up. She said. The sky has no color line, and people listened to thousands of people. She became a symbol. A symbol of hope. A symbol of what was possible. But not everyone loved her. Some people hated what she stood for. They sent her threats. They tried to stop her shows. But Bessie never backed down, not once. She kept flying. She kept fighting, she kept saving every penny for her flight school. She was so close to her dream, so close to making history again. And then something terrible happened, something that would end everything. April 30th, 1926. Jacksonville, Florida. Bessie was preparing for a big show. She needed to practice. So she went up in a plane with her mechanic. His name was William Wills. The plane was old. A Curtiss JN4. Some people said it was too dangerous, but Bessie trusted it. She had flown worse. They went up high, about 3,000 feet. Everything seemed fine, and then the plane flipped, just like that. No warning, Bessie wasn't wearing a seatbelt. She was thrown from the plane. She fell 3,000 feet. She died instantly. She was only 34 years old. The whole country mourned. Thousands came to her funeral. But here's what makes this story even more tragic. They found out what caused the crash, and the truth, it was completely preventable. A wrench. That's what killed Bessie Coleman. A loose wrench got stuck in the engine. It jammed the controls. A simple mistake. A forgotten tool. And it ended the life of a legend. But Bessie's story didn't end there. Her dream lived on. In 1929, a group of black pilots started a club. They called themselves the Bessie Coleman Aero Club. They taught hundreds of people to fly. Her flight school finally became real, just not the way she planned today. Bessie Coleman is everywhere, streets are named after her, stamps have her face. Every year on April 30, pilots fly over her grave. They drop flowers from the sky. To honor the woman who refused to quit, the woman who taught herself French, the woman who flew when nobody believed she could. Bessie Coleman proved something simple: the sky belongs to everyone. Bessie Coleman wasn't just the first African-American female aviator, she was a trailblazer, a pioneer who changed aviation history forever. This black woman pilot proved something powerful. Dreams don't have a color. Her biography inspires millions today. From barnstormer to legend, her flight school dream lives on. If this story moved you, subscribe, hit the bell, share her legacy, because history deserves to be remembered.